light of the confusion and the unprecedented situation that the coronavirus caused not only to our campus, state, but also our nation and the whole world, we decided to postpone the Student Government Association president and student trustee elections for these academic years until the fall 2020. From now until fall 2020, we will post out information about how students can apply for these positions, and we will be sending out information about how to be more involved. Well, we chose this way to make it easier for students who want to run or students who want to support someone to do this in the fall, when hopefully the situation will be much better there right now. Now, this was my update. I would like to give the floor to President Pedraja for him to give us an update of what QCC is doing during this hard situation. Mr. President, you're up.
Thank you, Jorgo, and thank you to the Student Government Association for all the work they've done in ensuring that we can keep our students engaged. It's been a hard couple of weeks, or more even. I really miss seeing all of you on campus, seeing the campus full and alive with people. I'm in the campus today, stopped by, and there's hardly anybody here. And that is something that really saddens me, because I wish I could be there here when it's full, when everybody's back to normal. But unfortunately, this is the situation that we face nowadays. This is our new normal. And I certainly hope that all of you are doing well, staying safe, that you're hanging in there and staying strong. First of all, I'd like to thank our faculty and our staff for an amazing job. They have really stepped up and done everything that was needed to take the campus, where we're one of the largest community colleges in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and to take it in a matter of weeks to fully remote operations was a great accomplishment. And I really appreciate all the hard work that people did to make sure that we are able to provide services to you, even if it is at a distance, so that you can continue your education. And I also like to thank all of you. It's good to see you. Thank you for inviting us into your homes virtually. And the reason that we do this is for our students. And right now, in this situation that we face, we are aware of the heroes that are out there, the healthcare workers, the first responders, many of them who are our students and our alumni, our graduates. We provide a lot of the nurses, healthcare workers, police, the EMT, and others in our community. But in this time, the spotlight has also shone on a few that normally are working to support us, but are in the shadows, the grocery store workers, the people who supply our food, who transport equipment from one place to another, the people who are out there cleaning the floors, the janitors, the workers in the food industry that are keeping us fed. And it doesn't escape me that many of our students are also out there doing the work in the front lines. Our human service students who are making sure that the vulnerable are being kept taken care of. The people who are in the hospitality industry, many of them are students, and some of them current students, who are keeping us fed while we face this unusual crisis. The many people who are working in logistics and trying to get things from one place to another. The manufacturing workers who are ensuring that the supplies that keep the healthcare workers safe are produced and gotten there. If nothing else, this time has shown the importance of QCC to our community and to the work, and that the work that we do, the work that all of you do as our students, our alums, our staff, help in being in the front lines of our community, making sure that our community's needs are we're a community college. We're part of the community. And as part of the community, we're committed to serving and meeting the needs of everyone in the community. So I'd like to thank all of you for your understanding, for your patience, for your willingness to, in many cases, put yourself out there during this crisis to help others. This is something that is important for us to do. Everyone is essential. You are all part of our recovery, of our miracle, of the things that will make our community succeed and that will make us come through this in the months to come. Some of the things I want to just share with you to give you a quick update that the college has been doing. We have set up an emergency fund to assist our system. I'm pleased to say that not only did our foundation contribute $25,000, but we have also raised over $30,000 additional dollars to help students. And we've been able to give $100 checks or cards to some of the students who have expressed some needs who have been most deeply affected by this crisis. We're also able to provide computers to some of the students that did not have a laptop at home to continue their education. Our bookstore through the college obtained up to 250 computers, and we have distributed a good number of those computers out. At least last I heard was somewhere in the vicinity of 100 or so computers that we provided to our students to stay engaged. We've also been working and getting some plus accounts to help the students that don't have the access to the internet, and we provided some guides to some of the free resources in the community for the students. The other thing is that thanks to Terry, Vecchio, and a couple of our other dedicated workers, we've been able to keep our food pantry working, and we've been able to feed many of our students. I think that we provided assistance to students at the first week. It was about 20 or 30 students, and the second week it was about 70 or 80 students. We'll continue to do this to ensure that those that rely on our food pantry are able to get fed. And I believe that Terry just updated it was 42 families that we were able to assist during this time. So we're trying to do everything that we can to ensure that all of you, our students, are taken care of. Well, we say that we are here to meet your needs, to help you succeed in your education. We really are. We're there. We're here to do what we can to support you. The food bank is open through appointments and special days. So if you need it, there is that information out that you can access to get there. If you need other types of assistance in getting some of your needs met, please let us know so that we can try to help you. And we have set up a process to bring that assistance. I know that some of you are probably wondering, should we stay at college? We only have a few weeks left. I hope that all of you stay. I hope that you encourage your friends to stay and that you get the word out, because you can finish the semester. We have been doing everything with our faculty to support you. We have tutors that are online now. Registration is open. We took all the limits out so that you can register for courses. The advising center is still operation. You can connect with them and they'll help you. And when you self-register, we'll have advisors that will check to make sure that you're getting the right credits. And if you need assistance, you can send them questions and they'll respond to you. All our systems are there now virtually and remotely to serve whatever need you need. All you need to do is reach out to us, and we will try to do the best that we can to help you. You might have heard about the CARES Act that Congress passed that is providing us about $3 trillion or so of assistance to the country. The college has requested some of that assistance, and we expect that some of it that's been designated to higher education will be coming in the next few weeks. That assistance is slated to go out directly to students. It's another reason why you should stay engaged and stay here, because that will help you meet some of the basic needs. There are some requirements that are set by the federal government, but it's mostly to assist those affected by the COVID situation. And it's not subject to your financial aid status. It's open to all students, regardless of status. And we'll be able to provide that assistance to you. We'll be able to, we'll set up a process to apply, but that is going to be available to students for emergency assistance to pay some of the bills, to cover some of the resources that might be needed. And the guidelines will be posted as soon as we're able to have them available for all of you. The other question that some of you might have is about graduation. Well, that's a good question. We know that the DCU Center is being used right now as an emergency hospital and that it's not available. We do not know if it'll be open, but I personally don't believe that they will be ready to have face-to-face graduation. And given where we are at in the pandemic, I suspect that they will not be open to large gatherings at that time. And most of you probably would not feel safe going at that time. We have a team working on alternatives for you, and we'll probably be announcing it in the next week or so. But what the team has been working on is a virtual graduation that will allow you to at least have your name read, for some words to be done, so you can be with your family at home and graduate, and we'll get the diplomas out to you. So we're going to do whatever that we can to make sure that you continue your education. Again, I encourage you to stay with us. We do not know what the future holds, but our time is now, and the actions that we take in the next few weeks are going to make a difference for our community and for our lives. What we do is going to define us for generations to come. It will be our moment in history, and our actions, what we do to help our community, to help one another, to get through this together, will be what will define us in the history books and in the ages to come. So I urge you to stay strong, to stay QCC strong, and to keep at it. And we will persevere, and this too will pass. Now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Keane, our Vice President of Academic Affairs, to share a little bit about what's been going on in the academic department and also update you in that area.
We're good. So it's great to be with you today. Thank you so much for the invitation and for student government putting together a great forum like this. Hopefully it's something we can do on a regular basis and throughout the semester as we move forward. So thanks so much for allowing me to be here with you today. Excited to share some of the steps that we've taken, but I think it's important to say right from the beginning that the things that I'm going to report out on today really was a team collaboration with Dr. Ortiz and her whole staff in student affairs. Patrick Prince with IT, who's just been amazing, an amazing partner. Steve Marini, our CFO, who again has helped us so much in terms of moving so many of these initiatives forward. And Dean Dwyer, who does a lot with our online learning. So the things that I share today, these are not personal pieces, but really throughout academic affairs and the partners that we work with. So really before spring break, and we saw this coming towards us, we began to get our classes ready for remote learning. And what does that really mean? So at QCC, we offer about 1,200 courses a semester, and then several hundred more courses on the non-credit side. So for students maybe in the ESL or workforce development. So we had many courses to look at and prepare to move to remote instruction. So faculty a week or two before spring break began providing plans and steps that they would do to move these courses to be remote. I'm very happy to say as we move through, the extended spring break gave our faculty time to take courses and some work to get all the materials up online and make some changes to the course syllabus, knowing that the courses would now be going to remote instruction. And we had so many faculty participate in those virtual trainings throughout that week after spring break to make sure courses were ready. We also were very lucky that at QCC, so many of our faculty already were trained to teach online. So for many, many, many of our faculty, this was a very easy switch over to bring courses to remote instruction to be able to help and work with students on this online platform. So that's really where we began. Right now at the college, and some students who are on this meeting might be part of this, we have of 1,250 sections, we have about 25 that we're still working with the accreditor to make remote. And what do I mean by that? So most of our courses, over 1,200 of them, we were able to easily slide into remote instruction. But some of the healthcare programs and some of the practicum programs, we need to work with the accreditor or with the state to get permission to be able to do that. And each week I meet with the deans who have one or two of these courses that right now are sort of in a hold pattern. We work with them and the accreditor to see what are some of our ability to move those forward. So each week the list gets a little bit smaller as the state or the accreditor allows us to move that course to be online or remote. But again, it's remarkable, out of with workforce development, probably 1,400 courses, there's only about 25 or so that are in that category. So the courses that we have up in remote, and what's the difference sort of remote to online? Remote has a bit more the ability to be creative in terms of how a faculty does that. For some, as you know from your courses, faculty are posting some assignments up on Blackboard, and it's email correspondence and back and forth being able to do that. Some of our faculty are holding virtual sessions such as this, oftentimes being taped and put up as lectures or running at the same time that the course might be. And for others, they're using different testing and quizzing software through Blackboard and areas like that. So our courses right now, really depending on the discipline, are being offered in many different ways. So our academically, we've been able to move our courses forward. We have changed a few policies that you're aware of. We took the withdrawal date and pushed it way back to the end of the semester so that a student can really continue their studies and work with the faculty member to be successful and not have to make a decision regarding if they're going to withdraw from a course, and be able to have more conversations with their faculty to be able to do that. So we immediately moved that date far back. As the president mentioned, we also removed any academic holds from registration. We didn't want to slow down students registering for an upcoming semester or to have any blocks. And as mentioned, we also have some advisors that are just going behind. Each day we get a list of the students that registered, and an advisor will go behind and take a look to make sure that the courses you register, make sure they work with your program. If you don't hear from an advisor, that means you're in good shape. And if you do, of course, then they'll talk to you about what the course might be or a question they might have for you. So we moved a bit forward with registration going that way, both for summer and for fall. The other thing that you might have noticed, if you're signing up for a summer class, we pushed back the summer session by 2 weeks, summer 1 and summer 2. Really for two reasons. One, it gives a chance for students that might be in those healthcare programs that they need to do the clinicals or practicums when the state and health agency and the president says it's safe for us to be back in the community. It gives them time to finish those courses. It also gives us more time to prepare for the potential of remote instruction for summer if we need to do that. And that's something, again, I speak with the president and the cabinet members and the deans regularly to see as we get closer and where the pandemic is and how as a community we're doing with that. So that's an area that we're looking at. So we've moved the withdrawal date. We pushed back summer 1 and summer 2, some of the pieces that we're looking at as well, and open registration. The other part that we're doing right now, we started this week with new student registration. The advisors are working off of high school transcripts and student credentials in regards to placement. So they've been working with our incoming freshman class this week and helping them with registration. So the Advising Center is seeing, right now there's about a 4-hour delay in emails. So if you email advising today, within usually 3 to 4 hours, you will have a response, if not sooner. We have some advisors working on sort of appointments and walk-ins through either technology, calls, or Zoom. We have some that are just checking registration to make sure students are ready and their registration looks good. And then we have another group that's working on students that we've not heard from. So in some classes where there's a student that since spring break we've not connected with, they're reaching out, they're getting those referrals from the faculty, and they're reaching out to check on the student, reconnecting them to the class potentially, or seeing how they're doing, or what other support mechanisms they might need that the college can provide. So advising right now is sort of working 3 different areas to support students in the efforts that we're doing. The The other two areas that I'll just hit on briefly, just so you know, resources are available. And Josh Martin, who does communications for the college, has been fantastic about advertising all this information up on the website. One is that the library is fully functional. All 3 librarians are able for virtual communication, either through email or connecting with them, providing any kind of resources that you need to the best of their ability. So many of our publishers have moved their online stacks to be a little bit more available than in the past. So librarians can really help you get set there. And they're still teaching courses. So again, any library resource that you might need to finish courses, papers, do not hesitate to reach out to librarians. They're ready to assist and have set up different modalities to be able to do that. The other area is our tutoring centers. We had 29 tutors go through online training, and they are able to help you in any of our disciplines that you can imagine for tutoring, as well as Blackboard assistance. So if you're a student who's new to using Blackboard, the Tutoring Center, the General Academic Advising Tutoring Center, will be able to assist you with any kind of Blackboard support that you might need. So we've worked to make all those services. So Academic Affairs has really gone fully remote in terms of not only the student support service part of it, but our courses. Not to repeat, but a few areas that we were involved in was, of course, helping with the technology pieces. As faculty learned of students' technology concerns or issues, we've worked with our IT department, financial aid, grants, the entire team to be able to help students in terms of that area, as well as trying to help them with some of the connectivity pieces moving through. Right now, there's a lot of unknown. We are taking it sort of a few weeks at a time. Right now in the spring semester, we're set to finish the semester on time. Faculty have really trying to work with students to help students complete the courses and to finish the semester strong. We keep evaluating where we are in terms of the pandemic with the president, with the state, locally, in terms of our summer sessions. I've asked all faculty to really be prepared to start remotely if we need to. And we've been putting out some student messaging for those that are looking at our summer courses to let them know that most likely there's a chance that we could be starting those sections remotely. And as we move through, then of course, we'll be looking at the fall semester. So, many good things that are happening. The communication's been really good, and in case by case, we've been working with students and concerns as we go through in academic affairs. And again, please, any concerns that you have to your faculty or to your school deans, up to me directly, that's fantastic. And we sort of take each piece as we go moving forward. So again, a lot of great collaboration throughout the college. The folks that I mentioned, I didn't mention that the grants office that has done just amazing work in terms of finding the resources to get the pieces that we need to do that. And again, I thank the president and the CFO for all the support in terms of getting additional softwares and all that we need to support students to this transition. So thank you very much. It's good to be here. And I'm sure after we go through a few more folks, I'm more than glad to answer any questions you may have.
Jorgo, you want to give us the questions that are coming in online, and we'll be happy to address them.
Yes, I'm sorry, the conversation was muted. So thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Vice President Keane, for your updates. And we're really grateful of the great job that you're doing up to now. So let's start by reading some questions that are posted on the chat. So by Crystal asks, what does it happen if we fail a class since the change from a classroom setting to the online instruction?
Well, if first of all, we're trying to give the most flexibility. You've gone through a good portion of the semester already on the face-to-face, so the online component is just an added piece. I know there was another question down also, does this count the same? Yes, this is a regular course for you. Everybody has had to move to this remote modality, so it will count the same. Faculty who are going to work with you. We have extended the withdrawal period to the end, and we are looking into some options about what we do for failing courses. But Jim, do you want to add something to that effect?
Another.
There we go.
Yes.
So, I think what the president said is spot on. I would say to students, continue having dialogue with the faculty. We've talked a lot with the faculty in regards to working with students through this period. So I'd just say that good communication between the student and the faculty, working on an academic plan, is the most important piece going through with remote instruction. And
we do have all the support systems in place. Tutoring is in place. there's advising that's going to be a lot more intentional, not just about registration, but helping you deal with issues. And there's always options for incompletes. But faculty are going to be working with you more directly. And if you feel like you're struggling, let us know, and we'll try to assist you in order to be able to help succeed.
Another question we received from a student asking, do these courses we are taking online count like in-person classes? Because, for example, WPI doesn't accept online credits.
Right, I did mention that a little bit earlier. This is this courses count. First of all, you were already in a physical course for a while, and since every college has moved to remote, I think these are extraordinary circumstances. So even though it is online, it's just like a regular course. Jim, you have anything to add?
No, that's exactly right. As we talk with our four-year partners, they understand, everybody's in this remote instruction at this point. And on the transcript, it would look as a traditional course as you started the course to be. So there wouldn't be any problem with the remote instruction.
Another question asked is, has an opt-in pass, no pass system been considered? Because most colleges, including some community colleges, have adopted it. And many of us whose living and studying situations have changed could benefit from something like this in place.
We have considered it, and I'll let Jim speak a little bit. One of the challenges, of course, is that while other colleges might opt for a pass-fail option, they're the ones that are awarding the degree. A lot of our students are going to be transferring to other institutions. And even though they might be accepting pass-fails at this time, doesn't mean that they'll continue to do so later on. There are very few of the community colleges that have opted for the pass-fail for that very reason. We're an institution that prepares students, in most cases, for transfer to other degrees, and it could be problematic. I have discussed with Vice President Keane some options. What the colleges, the community colleges that have moved to this is more on an optional basis, where the grade is still there, but students can petition for those grades to be pass, fail, and transcript. Later on, they could switch back. We're trying to see if our system has the capability to do that, but it's still under consideration, but we haven't moved to that direction. Jim, do you want to add something?
Sure. So there's really two or three pieces, some which the president mentioned. So the schools that you really see doing that are the four-year schools who have some of the options to do that as they do the bachelor degree, which for many is they're not transferring. The transfer piece gets very complicated because not only does the school need to accept it, the program you're going into needs to accept it. And we find over and over again, transfer paths, the pass-fail, the P doesn't transfer, and students end up taking a lot more courses. So you might say, oh, this four-year school is willing to take it, but the department in the four-year school may not accept that course depending on what your major is. The other problem that we have is that there are many of our healthcare programs and other programs, the accreditor, you're not able to do a pass-fail option. So even schools that are doing it, it's a very thin path compared to some of the programs. Some programs can, but anything usually with healthcare in some of those type areas, the pass-fail is not usually something that's accepted. So, and it was the last Dr. Pedraja had mentioned, most community colleges in the state are not going down that path, or really in the country, because again, it really impacts students down the road. Everything from honor societies, potential for financial aid. There's a lot of potential negative affect with the pass-fail. So it's just not as easy down the road. And for many of our students that will be transferring in probably 2 or 3 years, you don't know then, of course, what schools will still be likely to take the pass-fail compared to within the next year. So we are looking at some different options, as Dr. Pedraja said, but it really, believe it or not, it has a lot of negative consequences. Everything from financial aid, transfer, and different type programs that you might be applying to.
Another student is asking, if you rented a book at the QCC bookstore, what are you supposed to do in this case?
The bookstore has posted instructions on the website. There are people there in the bookstore, and I believe that they have a procedure in place that you can follow, and it's online. So there are options for it. The bookstore is also able to get books to you. They're also, and they've been distributing laptops. They've been shipping them directly to people's homes. The ones that have needed to get one or have gotten assistance or scholarship to do one. So if this continues on and you need to get your books before the start of summer term, you still will be able to do so.
A student is asking, I'm wrapping up my freshman year and I haven't taken math placement because my courses up until now haven't involved math. How can I test into math? Because I cannot graduate on time without my math courses.
Yeah, that we have put a hold on all the tests, but have a new procedure in place, and I'll let Vice President Keane give you an update.
Good. That's a great question. So what would happen is I would advise that student to reach out to advising. Advising will have a conversation with you, and they kind of do two things. One, they look and talk with you about your past math experience. How did you do in high school? If you have other college transcripts. And then they have sheets to look at various type problems to help you figure the right placement for you for the math. So depending on your major, depending a little bit about your past math experience, we have a process in how to place students in math, which again is not uncommon to many other schools who don't have a formalized testing process normally. So my short answer would be call advising, and they will have a great conversation with you and help determine which math placement you should start in.
A student is mentioning that for his stage movement class, they had to bring in items of personal property to live in the workspace. When will they be able to get them back?
I think right now we've closed down all of the buildings to prevent any contamination. If they need it immediately, we can work with the police department to access the area. But our preference is if you don't need it immediately, wait until the governor lifts the order and that people are allowed back on campus.
Mm-hmm. Another student is asking, if we take classes during summer but school is not opened yet, will the class be considered as online class because it starts and might end up like that it will be a problem for students trying to transfer to four-year colleges? These classes were supposed to be in school if the quarantine wasn't active.
Yeah, my understanding is that online classes will transfer. It might be a few places that might not consider from certain institutions, but typically federal law and from my understanding from my days in accreditation does not allow a college, one college to not accept transfer from another institution. What happens is how they evaluate the transfer. But right now, all the colleges are remote. And it's not necessarily classified as online. It's classified as a course that is being offered through remote instruction. So it should have no problem in transferring given the unusual circumstances that we're facing. Financial aid, the federal government has lifted the restrictions on it that have been in place, that you have to get certain qualifications. And the accreditors are also working with the colleges to allow those classes to count. Jim, do you want to add anything?
No, I think what the president said is spot on in terms of right now, the accreditor. I've been in touch with the accreditor who credits our whole state and region, quite honestly. And right now, again, the remote instruction is being seen as the same as it would be for face-to-face at this time. Because we're being instructed again from state and federal authorities to have to offer courses in this modality.
And I know that's one of the concerns is about WPI. They're also doing everything remotely. I'm on a call or Zoom chat with all the local presidents and the WPI presidents on that. They're in the same boat as everyone else, and they're actually looking at potentially extending some of their courses online because they're on a quarter system. They started the full quarter online, so they did not even have a face-to-face component during that time.
Regarding the fail option that we discussed previously, a student is asking, in that case, despite courses having the same or similar content as of now, the difference between working, studying, and learning environments makes this task nearly or often completely impossible to complete for students with focus and or attention issues, especially when we cannot even fall back to locations like libraries as of now. Will you be offering students the ability to retake courses that were failed due to our isolation, or perhaps offering students to be able to nullify a failed grade as to not show on their transcripts without being forced to withdraw from the class, which could save them from financial aid issues, somewhat similarly to what WPI does with their students if they fail?
Yeah, right now we are considering some of the options of this, but as Dr. Keane said, we moved the withdrawal option toward the very end of the term. We also have added additional support pieces. Online classes are somewhat more difficult sometimes for some students to go through, but if you need special support, from the accessibility office, from our mental health office, from any of the tutors, or even trying to do things online, where we've increased our support options in that area. Even our library is available right now virtually to all students, and the reference librarians are there. So there are many ways that we can work with you to keep you from failing. But I think with the withdrawal options being pushed back and with other criteria in place, we might be able to help work with you. Jim, do you want to add anything specific to that?
No, I think you hit many of the key pieces, and I would say it would be best if the student could speak to advising, because they could help map out some of those resources. I know sometimes it can be daunting of how do I connect with the library, how do I connect with the advisors. Went through some training in terms of really being able to help students connect seamlessly to some of the support network. So advising could be a great call, and they could help you connect to the resources that are out there to help with the support of the courses.
Yeah, and that's critical for you to remember. You're not alone in this. So if you're struggling, if you have questions, we have different resources that you can reach out to. So don't be afraid to ask for help, and advising, as Dr. Keane said, will be your first stop, and they can direct you in the right direction. Talk to your instructors, talk to the tutors. They're there to assist you during this time. Jorgo?
Another question, what about the fees? I registered for physical classes and now I'm doing classes online. What is the reduction in that regards?
Well, the first thing to remember is that fees are not necessarily associated with a particular key. We do delineate them in specific ways, but most of it is for maintenance. There's additional costs that have come up with the online. So basically it was shifted from some of the things like the parking fees or facilities fees to some of the support structures that are needed online. And the facilities still continue to operate. I understand that most of us set up for physical classes, but we're not necessarily in a position to offer them. And I will let our Vice President of Finance explain a little more about the fee structure. And then also remember that some of the assistance that is coming from the government, you can apply it to cover a lot of the expenses and some of the unpaid tuition bills, as well as other emergency needs that you might have, including housing, food, and other areas. And we can talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But Steve, you want to address that?
Sure. It's really just an expansion of what you just indicated. The parking fees, for instance, pay for snow removal, leasing of parking space downtown. Many of those costs have already been incurred. So a lot of that money is already gone. And then what was left over is being applied to our infrastructure to support our IT, our information technology, expanding contracts, making sure that the online environment is up and running for students and for the workforce that's off campus. In the case of facilities, the facilities projects are actually ongoing. So if you were on campus, you would see construction happening in Serpentine and in other areas, carpeting being replaced and things like that. So a lot of the facilities costs are also being still expended. And if there is any savings, we're applying those to the extra costs that were needed to bring us online. So that's our way of making sure that we have what we call continuity of operations, making sure the operations continues. So that's what's happening with those fees.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. There's another question probably for Vice President Keane. When will our final exam grades be posted?
Good question. Right now, we are pretty much operating on the same academic schedule. So we ask faculty traditionally within about 48 hours of the final grade to post accordingly in the same manner. So it really should be in the same, that should not change whatsoever. So we should be right on target with the traditional academic schedule.
Wonderful. A student is asking, for other semesters, will our books be online too?
That's a good question. The bookstore can send books to you at home. So physical books are still available as well as online books. I know that our Student Government Association and some of our faculty have been working on open educational resources, which are also more affordable to all of you. So that is something that might be enhanced. This situation, as unfortunate as it is, might actually put more momentum into some of those initiatives. So you still will be able to get the books traditionally through the bookstore. The bookstore, so right now, is waiving all the mailing fees, and if there was a fee, we would cover as a college. Again, that's one of the other areas where we're taking some of the fees and shifting them over to making sure that you have resources that you might need. But we are trying to address that, how you get the books. And I think right now that's still both physical and online will be available for the other semesters.
Can I speak for a second just about some of the resources that Dr. Pedraja talked about earlier in this chat? Just a reminder that there's a place on the queue where you can actually apply for food cards, for $40 food cards, for emergency funding. And you can also do a food pantry intake form. We are delivering this week, tomorrow, downtown at the downtown campus, as well as the main campus. But you need to do a food pantry intake form to be able to be participating in that. And then you'll get an email that explains how to get those resources. As you've heard, there's laptops that are available through financial aid. Remember, I know you're struggling with a lot of other challenges and stressors. The Counseling Center is available. I'm going to give a plug to Tina Wells in the Counseling and Wellness Center. Email her at tinawells@qcc.mass.edu to set up an appointment. A lot of people are stressed out. Don't forget, we're here to help you with some of that stuff. And then, Jorgo's folks have done an amazing job putting a whole engagement page together for students there's some, I think Family Feud is tonight, and there's some prizes you can win. There's opportunity to win other kinds of prizes like movie tickets, which you can't use right now, but you will be able to use them. But there's games to get involved with. Yoga. There's yoga that happens every day at noon. That's a Zoom yoga. So it's a live yoga class that you can join. So keep yourself healthy. Don't forget to reach out to these services. We're here for you.
And I will add, reach out to your fellow students. Most of you have friends in those classes, people getting to know. Some of them might not be on this call, and you might not hear from them. Reach out to them. Make sure they're okay. Encourage them to stay on. And this is just a general encouragement to all of you. We want you to succeed, and we're doing everything within our power, given the situation, to help you succeed. We've increased the resources available Not only the ones that Terry mentioned, some of you might be struggling to make ends meet, your job might have laid you off, you might not have access to some funds. We've been raising money to be able to provide more emergency assistance. We wish we could do more, but we're hoping that once we get the money from the CARES Act into the college, that will give you some additional resources that we will make available to all students. That money is designated to go to assist the students' emergency needs. It can be used to pay some of your tuition bills. If you have outstanding bills, some of the money can be applied to that. It can be applied to housing, to food, to other things that might be needed. So we will be working to try to see what we can do to assist you in those areas. But you need to be a student in order for us to be able to help you with those resources. So staying engaged is important, and staying engaged with other friends is important.
Thank you, Dean Vecchio. Thank you, Mr. President. A student is asking, if we get allowed back in the middle of a summer class, will we go back or will we finish semester online?
Well, that's a good question, and I wish I knew the answer. I don't know. It depends when it occurs. Let's say that that we move in the middle of the term. If you have some physical components to the class, we'll take the opportunity to move it there. If the class is still going on remotely and there's really no immediate need, we might have to continue it online. The one thing that we don't know about this is if there's going to be some restrictions that emerge out of it. For instance, they might allow us to open up, but they might say we need to limit the size of classes to 15 students. So we might have to break out into more lab sessions for the physical classes. It's possible that there's another wave that comes through in the fall, and we might be doing face-to-face, and then we have to switch. We're doing everything possible to accommodate people. We've had questions, for instance, about the clinicals. Dr. Keane and the deans have been working daily to try to figure out ways that we can access it. But we are limited by some of our accreditation guidelines and what the accreditors will consider. In some cases, we've been able to successfully work with the accreditors to allow students to get credit for work in the field and get them into critical areas sooner. There are some workforce programs and some technical career programs that require physical components. Some of them will try to accommodate at the minute the restrictions are done. So you might not get a final grade, but that doesn't mean that the semester is lost. We will do whatever we can on the remote modalities through Zoom or through Blackboard. And then when things open up, we'll be able to then hopefully get you into those areas. I have one question that came up directly to me about some of the nursing students and with the crisis, if we would have more openings available. I do not know because again, we're limited by the slots that are available in accreditation, in the clinicals, in the labs. I'm hopeful that they'll give us more openings, that there'll be more opportunity for us to have more students. But right now, I do not know if we'll have that available. But we're doing what we can to try to accommodate the different courses. I believe about 98% of our courses are now in remote modalities. So you can work with professors. There are some that you can't do remotely. There's a few that we've kind of done some simulations and other options to allow you to do it. But once it opens up, we'll make up those classes. We're working with faculty to develop a way of approaching that. And it might be in smaller numbers. So right now, there's a lot of things that I wish I could answer, but we don't know. But we are working on contingencies and plans to address them as they come up. Jim, do you want to add anything to that? Or?
No, that the part with the nursing, because I saw that actually during on the scroll. It's the program itself. We're not able to, as again the president said, we're not able to increase without the accreditor, and that process has a lot to do with clinical sites. So it's not something we're able to do internally in just sort of a quick piece for that turnover. We have to work with the state and the accreditor on that and the clinical sites. Yep, exactly right.
Yeah, there are some things that we're limited on that it's not within our power to do. We try to push for more openings in certain areas and for some accommodations, but we also don't want to say, oh, do this and it's not going to count. And we also want to, and the other side, we also want to make sure that you're safe. So if you asked, why can't you open this program, or why am I not allowed to continue the clinic, or I'll take the risk, it might not be up to us to make that decision, and it might not be up to you. It might be defined by state agencies, by regulations of the accreditors in other areas. So some things are not necessarily within our power.
Thank you, Mr. President. There was a student asking about the Zoom yoga class. Just so you know, all the information is being sent out via emails, and also the information about this yoga class is on the student engagement portal, which we will send a link out to the announcements, and make sure to check your Q mail because all the important information comes through there. And also, since we're short on time, we should start wrapping up the questions and the discussion. I would like to thank the speakers for being here and for answering students' questions. And also, I would like to thank the students for being here, asking these really interesting questions, and thanks for their patience. Thanks for everything they're doing in this difficult situation, because if we don't have collaboration, we won't achieve anything. So thanks to all of you.
Thank you. And if we're not able to answer a question at this time, do send it to us. You send it to Selena or to Jorgo or to Harry. We'll make sure we submit it to the right place and answer that question, because unfortunately, we're not able to address every single question at this time. As we conclude, I do want to thank you. It's nice to see everybody here. Stay tuned for assistance. Once we set up protocol, we already have links to provide you with assistance if you need emergency aid. And I think that was put in the Zoom chat, but it's also on our websites, and you can go there. Once we know more about the government funding and how that's going to be distributed, we'll also put that out there. But all that assistance is coming down the line. I would just say, stay strong and stay QCC strong. We can get through this together.
And I just want to say, if people feel like this is useful, and when more information comes forward, we'll probably have another one of these down the road. So if you find this useful, let us know, and we'll do this again once we have more information to share.
And if you have any particular needs that we have not addressed either, in terms of either academic questions or other areas, we're always available to answer them. We're trying to get to all the questions. We have our solution station open for students to call in, and they can also refer to the right place as well. But thank you all. Thank you for being an awesome community, for sticking together, doing what's needed. And thank you to all the ones that are there in the front lines, even the ones that we may not know about. Some of our veterans, some of our National Guard students who have been activated, some of the people in mental health that are supporting others. There's a great number of our alums and students, and even some of others that are out there making a difference. And each one of you can make a difference during this time in whatever way you can. But stay engaged, stay with your studies. I know it's stressful, but take care of yourself and keep at it. We can get through this. Stay strong.